Mic check, mic check. It's 5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock, and you're watching Chelsea and Tony live. And this episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the easiest way to create a beautiful website, blog, or online store for you and your ideas. Squarespace features an elegant interface, beautiful templates, and incredible 24/7 customer support. If you'd like to try Squarespace, go to squarespace.com/Tony and use the coupon code Tony to get 10% off.
Use the coupon code Portfolio.
Oh yeah, Portfolio.
After your 14-day free trial, if you dig it.
If you dig it.
If it makes your pictures look awesome. We'll take a look at least one Squarespace portfolio today. If you have a Squarespace portfolio, go to sdp.io/link and give us a link and we'll review your portfolio live during the show.
Yeah, we'll
Chelsea,
talk about it. Yeah.
It's live, right? So people can talk to us about stuff.
You can say you're wrong, which you often do. You can ask us questions. You can give us compliments, which you don't do enough. You do whatever you want. This is good fun.
If you write a comment, our screener Siobhan out in Philadelphia can read it to us directly, so be interesting. You can also use hashtag TCLive on Instagram or Twitter. And Justin, our producer here in studio, can toss it up on the screen.
Hello. Yes. Good to go.
Today, our format is a little bit different than normal. We're editing your pictures. So our focus is going to be, it's a fewer number of pictures, but we're going to get a little deeper into them. We're actually going to bring them into Photoshop.
Oh, whoa.
So what we'd like you to do is to send in your photos that actually need some post-processing. And we'll do what we can live. Why are we doing this, Chelsea? Do we know anything about Photoshop?
We're generous, good people.
We're doing it, and also we'd like to sell our book.
That's true.
A book on Photoshop, which is now available on Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, and of course the paperback book will be shipping soon. We're just kind of waiting for it.
Available at our sp.io/PS. And let me tell you something right now. We didn't know how long this book was going to be, so if you pre-order it now, you're going to get a really good deal. You get 10 hours of video and the book, which is going to be about 300-something pages. And how much we're selling it for, like $20 or something, $25?
Yeah, well, we don't really know. We have to kind of get a page count in.
I mean, now for the pre-order.
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, it's a bargain. And when we're ready with the print, we have to raise the price because we have more paper in our book now. But I'll also be drawing a doodle for you if you pre-ordered it and helped us fund the print run. So if you still want to get in on that, it'd be a good time to go and pre-order it right now.
But the ebook is only $10, and that's for a whole book and 10 hours of video, which other people selling training, you'd spend like $250. I'm not trying to be an infomercial or something. It's just It's cheap.
Look at me. Wow.
If you want to send in your picture to be edited by us live, go to sdp.io/submit and use the password by our book.
Yeah, in case we weren't clear enough like
Please
before.
buy our book.
We're very direct people.
Okay. In the meantime, we'll look at some chit chat. There's not much news today, so let's do that quickly. I just wanted to show this super cool video clip of Canon's little closet that they have.
Wow.
Yeah. At the Rio Olympics. Look at all the gear that they have. That's crazy, right? Whoo, just millions of dollars in cameras. The only other piece of news that I have is that I bought a Nikon F from eBay. If you watched our History of Nikon video, I talked about this, and I don't know, just after having studied it, I just wanted to have one. So
yeah, what inspired you to buy this camera specifically?
Well, this is the camera that really turned Nikon around. Up until then, they'd just been making like a kind of Leica Contax knockoff rangefinders, and the Nikon F made Nikon a pro camera company, and also really changed a lot of pro photographers from shooting rangefinders like Leicas to shooting SLRs, which is a model we're still using today. And in fact, it introduced the Nikon F mount, which Nikon is still using. So we could take this lens, which came with the camera, and stick it right on our D810, and pretty much vice versa. It's crazy that they still use the same mount because this was released in 1959. This model has the decoupled metering up here, but it meters through the lens and kind of tells you if you're over or underexposing, so you still have to dial it in manually, but that was an advanced feature. Otherwise, it's all mechanical, except for the meter, which doesn't seem to work on this model, but I probably need to change the battery. You want to do chit chat?
Oh,
Oh, people send in some photos?
yeah.
Okay.
You know I do.
I
We're just stuck here in the camera land.
trying to
mind.
get it to go to the next slide.
I don't mind.
Chit chat.
Chit chat.
Reread your comments about stuff.
We talk about what you talk about. This one really made me laugh. Smackjacks. He's a funny guy. He's always commenting and
You don't
making
know
me
he's a
laugh.
guy.
Huh?
You don't know that he's a guy.
I think I do. He says, parallel universe where DPR exists in 1904. How am I going to read these names? C. Gobbler. The French glass is so inferior. Zeiss glass is sharper and more precise. I'm a butt 82. Yeah, if all you're looking for is sharpness, then congrats. The 3D rendering of the French binoculars make the enemy really pop out from the background, and the bokeh is much more attractive. Just another dude 696969. You guys are talking shit. Do you even war? I know a ton of professional military scouts, and they say English glass is superior. Yeah, anyway, you can read the rest. I thought it was really entertaining. And
Yeah, I
old-timey.
love that idea. Angry forum people were around 100 years ago debating ancient glass.
They probably went to a social club and just did the same thing.
I'm sure.
Mumbleweed, Tony, this was nice. I wanted to make you feel good. He said, OMG, your voice. Your voice is so gorgeous. You should be on ABC Good Morning Show or a radio jockey.
I like that. ABC Good Morning Show.
I'd like to see you as a radio jockey.
That would be easier, right? No need to like iron my shirt or anything.
That's true. I would like that.
Really lazy.
Granddad Butler, Granddad, said, I adore these shows, but still poo audio. LOL. Just like, why'd you have to say it? Like, I just cried and cried, you know?
It is a live broadcast, and so little problems can happen on the stream that might
And big
interrupt
problems.
the bandwidth. Or it could happen on YouTube side. It's really complex. We tend to make a couple of changes every week and see how it goes, but
Yeah.
it's not all in our hands. There are lots of things that can kind of go
Yeah.
wrong. So we do our best, but it is a live show. Sometimes you have to deal with a few audio dropouts.
If you can't handle it, you should just watch our pre-recorded videos, which we have plenty of, our podcasts
Yeah.
and our other ones, because that just goes really well.
But
This
you don't have
is
to tell us.
harder.
Like we know.
You can tell us, but I'll cry. I'll cry all day. Jamie said, wow, didn't know Tony was a fortune teller. He perfectly predicted the future of VR, as Pokemon has already realized everyone's worst fears of VR. You did?
Technically, it's AR, augmented reality.
Oh my gosh, listen to you. Listen to you.
I study the future. I make guesses. Most of the stuff isn't a huge surprise if you're really thinking about what's going to happen next.
Don't let it go to your head, Northrup. Don't let it go to your head.
It's too late.
Jesse says, history of a badass mother, like you and Chelsea next, please. That's hilarious. That made me laugh. And he also said, Tony, if I know anything, it's this one thing. You're a badass mother boop, and I respect that. F Nikon. I don't know who this guy is, but
he knows me well.
he knows what we're about.
Mhm.
He understands. The Camera Store TV. I love Chris and Jordan. They got the cutest bromance in the history of all people.
But you said we love you too, and he never actually said we love you.
I
That's
know. I
awkward.
was just trying to like bait him into saying he loved us. I'm just to say it first,
Mhm.
completely.
Okay.
You should
let's
check
see.
them out. Their channel's really good.
Yeah, the Camera Store TV. Those are good guys. I'll import some pictures. Maybe we have something worth editing. And this could take
You know
a sec.
what's weird? People are always like, I like the Camera Store TV, and then you second. Or they'll be like, I like you guys as number one, and then someone else is number two. And people are always like ranking us against our peers, which is really weird to me. Like if I walked into a room of friends, I wouldn't be like, hey, friend number one, I like you slightly more than friend number two. Like you're just like, why? Now we're all uncomfortable. Anyway.
Yeah, usually I'm on the bad end of that. Like, I like your channel almost as much as Matt Granger's. But the other day somebody said, you're now my favorite photography channel, but I still also like Matt Granger.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, take it, Matt.
Yeah,
That's right.
Take that. No, but I'm always like, oh, I hope he doesn't see that. That's awkward. But then I want to rank their comments. Like, I like your comment almost as much as Smackjack's, who's my number one favorite commenter.
Okay. I think what we're going to have to do is...
I can't Photoshop that. That's beautiful.
right, move through some of these pictures and find pictures that we think are
Yeah.
good candidates for Photoshop and where we can get something
I'm just
out
going
of
to give
them.
this 5 stars and a pick.
Yeah, they did misfocus on it. And
But
it's not necessarily a lost cause. Like I don't think it's distracting.
Tony, there was a war going on. You unforgiving person.
But what you could do here is, I'm wondering if it's worth it. Pulling it in Photoshop, separate these into layers, add some sharpening to the dog here in the foreground, and then don't apply any sharpening to the rest of it. Because you see, if you add sharpening to the whole image, then you end up with like
Wait, why are
unnecessary
you
grain.
applying the sharpening to the dog? Because it's the guy that's in focus.
Yeah, I suppose maybe it's fine as it is.
Oh my gosh, what the heck happened?
That's adorable, right?
This is so cute.
Let's go right into
I
Photoshop.
can't handle it. Why?
Oh, it's in Yosemite as well.
What are we doing?
But don't you think this stick here
Oh,
should go
gosh.
away?
He's so cute. I
And-
can't handle it. Let's just clone more of him. Is that a thing?
Wow.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, so I didn't expect that to work so well. It doesn't usually work that well. That was just the spot healing brush tool, which is normally on the J keyboard shortcut, and it actually seemed to work pretty perfectly. Other than that, I think we could use some cropping. My normal technique is to do as little editing as possible in Photoshop and
Okay.
do as much editing as possible in Lightroom. So I don't like to crop in just Photoshop. I'll bring it back into Lightroom to do that. Just because Lightroom is more easy to reverse. You can easily change things around. It's non-destructive, whereas Photoshop, they actually have to save the file.
What? You can keep saying things. I'm just living my...
Okay. Okay, so Chelsea copied it and pasted it. It appeared as a new layer. You can see that in the layers panel over in the bottom right corner.
Control plus.
Control plus is zooming in.
Spacebar for the hand.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to kind
I'm
of
going to make a
navigate around.
mask.
Yeah, layer masks determine which parts of the image are hidden and which are visible.
I'm going to paint black on this white.
Yeah.
Up my brush with the right bracket, and then I'm gonna blend him. We're just gonna do a little.
She's just going to hide that bear behind these grasses, make it a little less obvious. The nice thing about, first, you can't do this sort of masking in Lightroom.
See how I did too much? You press X, and then you can blend it back in.
Yeah, you're either painting white or black onto the mask in most cases, and painting black hides things, painting white shows things. The X keyboard shortcut switches between black and white. So an easy way to hide and reveal things is to just hit the X key and kind of switch between them in case you overpaint, which is common. But you can see she did an okay job of adding in a second bear there
Whoa.
and kind of hiding him in the background with layers. And didn't take long at all. What are you?
Oh, I was on the wrong.
Oh, yeah, she had the mask selected. That was the layer
Rookie
mask.
mistake. I was gonna go into liquefy and make one of them slightly different, so that you couldn't tell.
Oh, so it didn't look exactly like a mirror image.
Yeah. I'll give this one a 10 to 10.
Okay. Perfect. Very natural. Chelsea, a great ringing endorsement to buy
Because that
our
one
Photoshop
on the
book.
right is like, why is your head dented? Trust me, it's just art. You guys wouldn't get it.
Yeah. So I feel like we pretty much nailed that. We'll just bring that right back into Photoshop.
That reminds me of a Pokeball.
A night photo. And the colors are way off, right? This is the kind of thing you don't necessarily need to jump into
But you could.
Photoshop for. You could.
And it's in our book.
Yeah, I do cover how to do things, but I also make suggestions about where it's easier to get things done in Photoshop versus in Lightroom. But you know what? This has camera shake in it.
And there's a tool
Photoshop
for
has a
that?
tool. Let's see if I can remember where this is. I think it's a filter.
One nice thing about the book, plug, is that if there's something you know that you'll use often, you can dog ear it and just go back to it.
Oh, yeah. Man. Do you remember where the camera shake? Oh, is it under blur?
Sharpen, maybe? It's somewhere in there, I'm pretty sure.
Shake reduction. There it is. So filter, sharpen, shake reduction. And it's pretty amazing. Have you played much with this, Chels?
I did, because I did the tech review of the book. So I did everything you did.
Yeah, so if you look at this close up here of the building, that's before the shake reduction, and that's after. Before, after.
Dang.
That's remarkable, right?
I don't even
It's a
need to
really cool feature.
know anything anymore.
You can do a bunch of tweaking, but it looks like the automatic settings did a really good job of it. So there, now as we zoom in, it really looks much better than it did before. It's not.
There's some
it's not gonna be
strange
perfect.
artifacts.
It's better to get it perfect in camera, but it's a lot better than nothing. So let me just get to the photography workspace. Where's my adjustment layers? Sorry, this isn't, oh, here we go. This isn't the normal workspace that I work in, but you can use adjustment layers to do Lightroom-like things, like change the color balance. Here's a good way to do it, is to, I like to do this. Use the actual filters that kind of simulate camera filters if you think that way. And so I'll just slap a cooling filter on there and then adjust the density up, and that'll kind of cool the whole image off. Control 0 zooms back so I see the entire picture. So now we have some more natural color to it. Still, you know, the picture has very dark skies and such, but it definitely, Photoshop made it better than it would have been otherwise, right?
Sure. Oh.
You know what we can do in Photoshop for this? Well, first, look at the histogram. There's a big empty space here. We got to brighten that up, right?
Yep.
Cameras will almost always underexpose
Snow.
pictures taken in snow, just because they try to make the bright white gray. You got to expose for your subject there.
He also has a little branch in front of his nose. So.
Oh, good point. This is stuff that Photoshop is perfect for. Oh, so notice what I did. When you select, right-click and select Edit, and then Edit in Photoshop, it gives you the choice to either edit a copy with the Lightroom adjustments or to edit the original picture. I selected original accidentally, but I made adjustments in Lightroom, so I want those to get transferred into Photoshop. I just have to select that option, and still didn't take it for some reason. Edit in Photoshop, edit a copy, edit. Oh, it's still loading. Okay. So I think the number one thing I want to do here is just to add a little catch light. So I'm going to hit the brush tool, which is keyboard shortcut B, or there it is, brush, and just select white here. Switch. Okay. And let's zoom right in. Make this nice and small. Doop. That's too big.
You need to put it in a different blending mode as well.
What blending mode would you suggest? So you want to make a new layer for it. You have a new technique for this?
No, I've never done this before, but I have strong feelings about it. It's like when you're trying to open the jam jar and everyone thinks they know how to do it.
Well, Chelsea's right that it's generally better to use a layer for these types of things because you can make adjustments after the fact a little bit easier. But there we go. We'll make a little catch light. And so now that I have that in there, she's right. It's a little bright now. But because I made it as a separate layer called catch light here, I can drop the opacity down and just darken it a little bit and make it a little more natural.
Zoom in on that. I want to judge you.
Once you know it's fake, it always seems fake.
Yeah, no, that's not too bad.
But yeah, it doesn't look too bad. And having that catch light in the eyes really makes a huge difference for anything that has life in it.
Yeah.
So I think the other change you wanted to make was to get rid of that branch, right?
I don't know if it's possible.
It's
It can be
tough because it's so
difficult
blurry.
When there's, yeah, it's very blurry, but also it's over a crucial part of the beak and there's not a ton of information.
Yeah.
So if it had just been over his feathers, then it can kind of fill in the pattern, but that could be a tricky one.
Yeah. Well, let's see how Photoshop does with the automatic tools. I've done this where you just spend kind of on the wrong layer, where you just spend hours and hours like cloning it out and kind of creating a beak out of nothing.
Out of pine cones.
So there are a couple of different healing brush tool. The spot healing brush tool kind of picks a source automatically, and the healing brush tool works more like the old clone tool did, where it takes from the part of the picture that you specify. You can see some of the edges here ended up being a little bit unnatural. And the way to fix that is to, well, it's actually not going to work very well.
Look at that chromatic aberration. We got to get on that.
The patch tool here might do a better job for me.
No.
That also didn't work. Here's another healing technique. We have a solid white background, right? So I'm going to switch to my brush tool here. And I'm actually going to use the eyedropper to select this color here. And then I'm just going to go back to the brush tool, and I'm going to do like old school airbrushing, where I'm just literally going to be painting over it. That's a little too soft. I got to harden that up to get more of a natural edge to it.
It's hard to do Photoshop with a time limit, knowing that people are just watching.
I'm also going to drop the opacity some so I can do it a couple of times.
I thought you said this was a 4-hour show.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so that's not a perfect cloning technique. I could definitely spend some time
Tony,
probably dropping the reds here.
Just to bring it back to last week, you need to work on your confidence. You say, that is great.
That is awesome. We nailed it.
We are great. I'm great. He's great.
Get like Donald Trump levels of confidence in there.
I'm good.
What would we Photoshop about this? Like maybe trying to get rid of the reflections from the glass? That would be tough. You could hit it with the dehaze tool if you wanted to improve that a little bit.
I think I just like it the way that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to really do much.
Okay. Would love to see your edit on this. Well, this I think dehaze could help, right?
Well, maybe, but I'd say that technically the picture is very good. So from this point, it would just be something that I would stylize a bit.
Yeah. I don't know that it really requires that much. The dehaze tool is like just a smarter contrast adjustment.
Yeah. I'm hesitant to kind of get into starting to stylize it because that's something that takes a lot of fine tuning and a lot of time in Photoshop.
Yeah, and a lot of trial and error
And I
too.
don't want to bore everybody.
But you did use a graduated filter to kind of balance the exposure a little bit, just like using a graduated filter on your camera. That is a super bright and colorful picture. I love the colors in it.
Yeah, I really like those colors, and I like the van and the sky above it. I don't want to change it. You stay like you. Is that Spooky Bowl?
They said clone out the slug, please.
Oh, on the pumpkin.
Oh, there's a slug on the pumpkin?
Let's do it.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
You can hit Tony. You got this.
So Lightroom has some cloning tools, but they're not good. The cloning tools in Photoshop are just way more powerful, and we do as much as we can in Lightroom, but Photoshop is just better at cloning.
I like the slug.
You want to try this?
I do like the slug.
Yeah, I like the slug too. So
I would just try the content or fill first.
yeah, that's kind of where I start. Well, I'm using the healing brush tool, but it is using content or fill, and you start there. And sometimes it works perfectly. And that actually worked really well. That's kind of shocking. Sometimes it just shocks me. I thought there are more advanced techniques that we cover in the book for cloning things out, but sometimes the automatic tools are great.
It
and
is
it's
kind
always
of
where you start.
trial and error. I always start with the easiest thing first, and if that doesn't work, I'll try a few other methods. Crazy magic.
I never use these adjustment layers because they're... I almost always do this stuff in Lightroom. I was trying to find the one that does levels. Well,
No, here.
we could just up the contrast a little bit, I think.
It's the second one.
Oh, of course it is levels. Yeah, I just wanted to adjust the level some. Okay, we got rid of your slug. It was a good idea to put the instructions for what we should do in there.
I liked that. That was nice. Thank you. I don't want to Photoshop this. I like it. But you would do image stacking in Photoshop, wouldn't you?
I actually don't use Photoshop for that. There's a different tool to do. I have a video on photographing the moon that shows how to use that tool. I think the problem with this is just the large amounts of noise in it. And there's only going to be so much you can do for that, but you could increase the noise reduction. That's not something that Photoshop can do it selectively to different parts of the picture, but that doesn't really help you here.
Hey,
What?
we're really doing a great job at showing people how to edit their pictures. Maybe we should take a moment and talk to my friend Siobhan.
Good plan.
Siobhan, are you ready?
Yeah, I've got so many questions for you.
Oh, good.
Is it? Questions.
All right, let's go for some relevant ones first. Like relevant to today's topic. Where is Lightroom at its limit and you need to go into PS? Follow up from someone else. Should you do Photoshop edits before Lightroom edits, or does it not matter? Are there any performance issues or file destruction issues?
Okay. Do more in Lightroom. Some people like to do everything in Photoshop and use Photoshop Bridge, which is their photo organizing system. I don't like that. I do everything in Lightroom first. I cull through my pictures. I rate them. I do basic editing, leveling the horizon, cropping it, bringing up the exposure, little things like that. From there, if I have to remove blemishes or stylize it or do anything like that, change the lighting in any way, add makeup, fix anything like that, get stray hairs to go away, I bring it into Photoshop. And that's where I do my finer edits and stylize the picture. And then I'll just bring it back into Lightroom.
Yeah, for me, I do as many edits as I can in Lightroom. If I look at a picture and I know I'm going to have to do some cloning, I'm going to have to change the shape of somebody's face or, remove something from a dress.
What kind of people have you been?
I like to force people to smile.
Yeah, I do that too.
Maybe there'll be a portrait in here where we can actually show that really
thing
cool.
is really
feature.
creepy.
It is really funny.
Hey, but what about this? Do you ever just use the Lightroom clone tool for a little tiny blemish or something?
Oh, all the time.
me
I
too.
do as much as I can. Lightroom is non-destructive, so you don't have to overwrite the file or save a new file. It just stores a list of changes, so everything is easy to undo indefinitely.
Yeah, but
And it's also much faster than going into Photoshop.
yeah. I like the layers of Photoshop. You have more control. You
Right.
can go in and say, you can go in 2 days later and say, you know what? I think I raised the exposure too high. And you can go through your layers and you can dial everything back.
Yeah, so the two work together. I probably spend 90% of my time in Lightroom and 10% of my time in Photoshop.
Oh,
But once I get into Photoshop, I can easily spend like hours there making an image perfect.
that's what I'm saying.
If I'm going to make a big print, if I'm selling a picture, it's coming into Photoshop just 100% of the time for those little refinements.
And then they asked about file destruction
Oh, what was the question?
or image destruction if it's going to bring down the quality of the image, bringing them back and forth between the two programs.
If you shoot JPEG and you go back and forth like 100 times, then
Yeah.
eventually it would. But generally what you do is you get it into Photoshop, and even if it's a JPEG, you'll save it as a TIFF file or PSD file. And that will save your layers, and it won't allow the picture to degrade any further.
Siobhan, what else do you have for us?
Well, this one was related to what you were just talking about. Troy asked, when you go into PS and it changes it to a TIFF file, what do you do with the TIFF? Treat it as an NEF and archive it?
You just keep it as a TIFF file. I don't know that you have to do anything with it. Maybe I don't understand what they mean.
I don't know.
It's okay that it's a TIFF. I mean, it's nice to be working with the raw file, and you kind of want to make any adjustments. Like if you have to recover the highlights or recover the shadows, that's something you want to do with the raw file. Once you bring it into Photoshop, you're right. You're going to be working with a TIFF file. You're not going to be working the raw file anymore. So yeah, do those sorts of recoveries in Lightroom first, and then bring it into to Photoshop for those more edits.
What else you got, Siobhan?
We've been asked this before, but it's been a while. How would a new amateur photographer go about choosing a name for his or her portfolio, i.e. for the domain name, and so you can continue using it if you end up going pro? Just use your name.
Yeah, or if your name is really complicated, you can just choose something simple. I mean, this is really more a matter of marketing, which I've taken marketing classes. Hard consonants are easier for people to remember. Alliteration is easier for people to remember. Rhyming, like Coca-Cola has alliteration and rhyming. It's a very memorable brand. Those are important things. So if your name is not memorable or difficult, that might be something you might want to consider. If you are worried about it getting dated, then you might want to just stick to your name.
But be careful with your name, because some people have names that are difficult for other people to spell
That's what I'm
or
saying.
pronounce.
Yeah.
Northrup is a problem. So my portfolio is northrupphotography.com, but there's two variations on Northrup, Northrop and RUP. So
We own both.
I got both, and I redirect one to the other. That way, if somebody typos it, it's not a problem. If you have a name that might be really difficult for people to spell, like we're about to look at this guy's portfolio, and his domain name is Abby J.P. Reed, and I think his name is just Abby Reed. But that would be difficult for him to convey verbally to me, because if he said his name was Abby Reed, I wouldn't necessarily know exactly how that was spelled.
Okay. That's that. Do you want to look at Abby Reed's? I was just wondering why you thought Abby Reed was male or female.
Yeah, because I can't see Abby's face, and you're right. Abby sounds like a feminine name. Sorry, I don't know. We don't actually know much about you, and I guess that would be my first critique, is I like to actually see the person when I'm looking at their portfolio. Another thing is, you might think about the domain name. You might think, will I ever run into somebody in person and say, hey, visit my portfolio, it's at. You want to give them a name that they can remember and spell later.
Coca-Cola photo.com.
That's a great idea. It's difficult because if you have a common name, every variation is going to be taken, and then you might end up.
Mike Smith photo. Then it has to be something weird, like Mike R. Smith photo.
Yeah.
Just make business cards. Like, I can't remember people's first names. I'm not going to remember the name of their photo company upon meeting them.
Yeah, business cards are smart.
I don't like them.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to check out is Abby's store here, because I kind of want to understand
Justin.
what Abby's goals are. So Abby has a store, which is great, because every Squarespace site comes with at least one item that you can sell. You could use that to take deposits from your clients, or you could actually use it to sell prints. Looks like Abby is selling prints, and really nice print. So I don't know. You might say a little bit more about the product. Maybe they were just playing with it. I don't know if this is a digital image or if it's an 8x10, but I like it.
Good photos.
Yeah, I think all these pictures are good. They're nice and simple. I'd probably crop this one down a little bit, like really
Look
good.
at that chapmunk.
Yeah. This is really pretty.
I feel inspired.
Yeah, these are beautiful.
She got the Northern Lights.
That's a gorgeous picture. It's too bad that it ends up so small, because it's a vertical format. Nice. You can choose different layouts. You might consider a different layout, but overall, I think this layout works pretty well for you. So that's landscapes. Let's check out architecture.
The Duomo.
Yeah.
Been all over.
Wow. Yeah, Abby travels.
Go Abby.
Gorgeous shots. Candid portraits. Oh, this ties in with last week's theme of Ariel for Gorgeous. Yeah, I love those. Aerial photography can be so great. This shot is just beautiful, and you never could have gotten that from the land. Definitely be afraid of that drone drifting into one of those big drone killers.
Do you think
These two are a
Abby
little
cares?
too similar?
No.
No, Abby's a badass.
She's
Okay,
badass.
I hope we provided a couple of useful suggestions, a couple of edits, a couple of pictures to remove, and something to think about with the name, but maybe just carry around some business cards like Siobhan said. Otherwise, I think things are looking great. Let's see what Abby had to say about Squarespace. Found it to be a great site for showcasing my photography, simple to use controls, great preset templates that can be easily customized, will likely continue to use. Okay, great. So Abby likes Squarespace. If you want to make your own pictures look awesome, you can go to squarespace.com/Tony. You get a 14-day free trial. Abby was actually on the trial, but you can share it. You just have to.
You can?
Yeah, you can share it now. You didn't used to be able to, but now there's a visitor access link and you type in a little CAPTCHA. Cool. So you can actually use it, share it with people, get their thoughts before you even sign up. That's how Abby got his or her portfolio on the show. Their portfolio on the show. If you decide you like it after 14 days, use the coupon code PORTFOLIO to get 10% off. Thanks, Squarespace, for sponsoring us.
Squarespace, thank you.
Abby's the lady.
Yeah,
okay.
woo, woo.
I'm sorry, Abby.
Just to clear it up.
It's a live show. I don't really have time to ponder stuff.
I felt like you were trying to claim a cool person that I knew was a lady. You know?
I would claim a cool person?
Yeah, like she's on my team.
Yeah. Us guys could use more people like Abby, but
greedy.
Okay.
What's going on?
I was just fixing the Zoom. What's going on back there?
What's going on
Is
everywhere?
that person on some sort of scooter?
What is happening?
What is that?
I don't think we're supposed to be seeing this confidential location.
Yeah, doesn't it seem like...
What are the men on the left doing? Pretending to sweep?
Okay. I don't know what to Photoshop about that.
We should add more of that guy.
This is gorgeous. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to pull this into Photoshop because I think there's something...
Are you going to do noise reduction? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Are you going to do noise reduction?
Yeah, were you going to do something different?
No, I was going to do the same thing.
Do you want to do it?
No.
Okay. I'm going to right-click the background layer and click click duplicate layer. So we'll call this noise reduction. And I'll show you my wildlife photography noise reduction trick. So now I just have the exact same layer here. Now you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get rid of this ugly distraction here. I'm just going to select this whole thing with my lasso.
Bye-bye, birdie.
And then edit, fill, content aware, click OK.
Is this going to take all... Whoa.
Gone. The bird's gone. Much better now, right? So now what we can do is I'm going to reduce the noise in this. I just get rid of the bird because otherwise when you run like a heavy noise reduction, the bird itself like bleeds out.
Yeah, it bleeds outside of the boundaries.
So this whole background is out of focus, which means we don't have to worry about preserving details at all. We can just crank up the noise reduction. We'll just reduce the color noise. We won't do any sharpening here. And so even at strength 10, there's still some noise in the background. So I'll do that and I'll click OK and it will reduce the noise. It's going to take a second.
It's going to take all
They really
day.
need to just make that slider go up to 50 or something, don't they?
Yeah,
Up
why
to
not?
50. It's just a green smudge.
So as I zoom in, I can still see plenty of noise. So I'll just do this again. I'll just do filter, reduce noise. That just repeats the previous process.
Wow, you are hardcore. You don't play around, Tony Northrup.
Then what we're going to do is we're just going to bring the bird back in.
It can't be done.
So I'm making a layer from the background layer here, and I'll move it on top. And so now we just have the bird back. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a
layer mask.
A layer mask. I'm going to hold down the Alt key when I add the layer mask, and that's going to add a black layer mask that just completely hides the layer. And now I'm going to set my brush to white and make it nice and big, and I'm going to paint in that layer mask and bring my opacity up to 100%. Okay, here we go. Boom. So you can be more precise about how you blend in the clean background with the bird. But what this does is it allows you to add as much noise reduction as possible without losing any important details. And I see so many even professional wildlife pictures that just have all that ugly noise in the background. And it stands out so much when the background has that beautiful bouquet, and there's just no reason for it. So
the subject really does pop when you have a very smooth background.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. And you could spend some time like blending the two layers together perfectly. But now you have a technically perfect image with no loss of detail.
Wow. You give all that information for just $9.99?
What a Bargain. Okay, we'll take a second and plug our Photoshop book.
I just did. Didn't you hear that?
You can get it at Amazon, Google Play, or iTunes, the ebook, or you can go directly to Northrup.photo, our store there, and order it from us.
If they already have it, I would really love if you gave us a review.
We could do some reviews.
Unless it's bad, and then you can just email us and tell us what you don't like, and we'll fix it.
Yeah, it's not too late to fix stuff either.
Hey, do you know what else is really cool about me and Tony in our book? With Photoshop CC, you get free updates. So when we were making the book, we were like, what the heck? How are we going to update the book? There's no distinguishable boundary between one update. It's not like there's a new edition. So our book just has free updates. So when Photoshop updates, we update. You don't have to buy a new edition. You don't have to buy a whole new book. No other publisher does this because we're insane. We just keep giving you free updates for as long as Tony lives. So if I get tired of it, there goes Tony. Look at these bottles.
Yeah, do you feel inspired to Photoshop that in some way?
Heck no. Okay. I feel inspired to take a drink.
Whoa.
That's a night heron. And those are poisonous.
The fish is poisonous or the bird is poisonous?
The bird.
What do you mean?
It's like how I keep telling you
speak so confidently.
It's like how I keep telling you the plot of Home Alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. I'm just
As
lying
people
to you.
do.
I'm just lying to you.
Have you not seen Home Alone or something?
It's just like Tony will fall asleep during a show and I'll be like, you missed it. Like the kid was home and the parents went on vacation and then the kid was like, ah, and then he'll realize I'm just telling him Home Alone again. You'll be like, shut up.
You're making Siobhan laugh, but nobody else in the world knows what's going on. Because it's not like a thing.
No, it's really funny. I made it up. It's a thing. So if like people are sitting around remembering the good old times and they're like, oh yeah, we were all drinking that night in college. It was crazy. Be like, oh yeah, once my parents went on vacation and they forgot me, and just tell the plot of Home Alone. And it's going to be a new phenomenon. I promise. I made it up. You love it, Tony. You swear at me every night.
Chelsea, here's an opportunity for you to put your stock photography editing skills to work. Imagine we wanted to
spot or anything.
sell this picture as stock.
Oh,
what would you
where
have to
you're
do
going
here?
with this. You have to take every single ad out.
That's terrible. Every single logo, every brand, every recognizable face.
So,
yeah, show them what you do.
This isn't going to work.
You're lassoing it.
I know, but I'm at a very awkward angle because my microphone's trying to hurt me.
Oh. Okay, so you lassoed half of it, then you held down the shift key and you lassoed the other half. When you hold down the shift key, it will like add to your selection.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's being aggressive with the content-aware fill. It didn't work out for her that time. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Then that's the breaks.
Well, I don't want to do this, but you have to go in and actually just get rid of every single thing. And you can go in and you can take a brush.
Oh, I'm sorry, I hit a key.
Yeah, you did.
I hit brush because that's what I was going to do. You were going to paint over it, right? Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
You can press Alt, match the color, and just approximately do it. And then you're going to want to keep sampling.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can just you can even copy it with the patch tool, and you can just keep filling over it. But it's going to take a long time. If you had more gray space, it would be easier to do it. But like this would be simple. You can just pull the color from here.
Yeah, or you could just totally patch it from a lower section. But yeah, that looks pretty good.
It's too smooth though. Marriott, you'd have to get rid of that. Same thing. I know I'm supposed to show them, but it would be really boring to watch me do that.
Yeah, and otherwise, some of the same kind of selective noise reduction that we did for the wildlife photo.
I've also
get rid of all the noise in the sky because there's no detail there.
If you can't get rid of it in a clean way, we had a picture of Shibuya Crossing, which is kind of like Times Square in New York, and we wanted to sell this picture, but there are ads everywhere. So sometimes I would just chop up the logo and make a new one because there's no way to reconstruct the area. When you submit your picture to stock, they're going to zoom in like 100, 200% and make sure that everything's clean. Like that paintbrush crap I just did, like, no, they're going to just reject that. So I'd go in and just kind of reconstruct the logo and just change it around. And then it becomes fair game.
Oh, I did that backwards. And yeah, so now, especially when you're covering up something with lines, that can be difficult. I just kind of went in and used the patch tool. The patch tool is like content aware fill, but it allows you to pull from a specific area. So when you have repeating patterns like this, you can often, which you do with concrete and bricks and stuff, you can often just kind of slide it over here and get those lines kind of lined up as close as you can. And then bam, right?
Yeah, and then you would want to get rid of this because people can tell if you clone it. So you would just take that part out.
Yeah. You look for any patterns that you've created and try to break those patterns. Sometimes you just modify it randomly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just thought that was a cool
Wow.
technique to demonstrate.
We're all having fun. Kevin Davis, that's amazing. What is that liquid?
Water? What do you think
It's
it
like
might be?
bourbon or something?
Oh, inside of there. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
And the other one is clearly urine.
I can't think of anything to do
I like
to
it.
this.
I wouldn't change it.
Okay.
I wouldn't change this one either. It's beautiful.
No, I feel like it could use a little more contrast. I feel like these HDR shots, what kind of defines them is this lack of, what defines what people dislike about them is the lack of contrast. I feel like if you just go back and really restore some of the natural contrast, you can use the HDR techniques without it being as noticeable or obvious. And I'd probably watch the fringing, but I don't know. It's tough to do without the original pictures. I'd probably consider other things, but it turned out
It was
turned
gorgeous.
out great. Yeah, it turned out beautiful.
This is a really nice shot too.
Yeah, and
I like a little slice of life with a little bit of magic like that rainbow.
so you could do things to make this more technically perfect, but in post-processing, but I feel like that would be against it. Like I feel it feels like rugged and authentic now. He likes the background, but he forgot to adjust the exposure. So yeah, the camera had underexposed the picture. And yeah, right, the colors are kind of way off because it's night photography and this just kind of always happens. So we're not gonna be able to do a great job of recovering it, working from the JPEG file. Hopefully you have the RAW file, you'll be able to do a much better job on it. But I think the best thing you can do is just, yeah, raise the exposure. Other than that, some selective noise reduction could get rid of that like nasty noise that raising the exposure caused.
Another thing, if you just want to raise the exposure of one point and not another, will you drag this into Photoshop for me?
Yeah.
Here we go. You can go into the curves here, and it's going to make a new layer. Raise them, and then I press Control I. You use my brush and then X to turn it white. And then you can just raise this is really hard. You want a soft brush all the way. And then you can just raise the exposure where you would like more light.
I thought you were going to do some contouring on them.
You can do that too. This is also how you do contouring. And then it's too bright now, but then I usually go all the way so I can see what I'm doing and then bring the opacity of the layer down. And then you're just raising the exposure him without blowing out the background in a way that's distracting to your subject. This picture is hard to edit because I'll say it's the quality of it is not great, like the quality of the file, but you know what I mean.
You want to take a portrait on?
Sure.
Let's bring it into Photoshop, see what we can do. So you do more of the portraits than I do. You want to jump on that?
Sure.
Okay.
I would have done like a little bit of cropping and stuff in Lightroom, but that's not really the point. And I do quite a few portraits. Justin edits them down and speeds them up, and Siobhan does too in post. So it takes me a long time. Sometimes I'll spend half hour, an hour, or longer, but same thing. So go into the curves layer. You're going to bring up the curves And I'm not afraid to like overexpose a little bit because I can always bring down the opacity of the layer later. Same thing. I'm going to invert it. And then
You're doing the squint.
I am doing the squint. I just do it automatically. And because I want to see naturally where the light's falling on her face. Because if I try to fight what's going on naturally, it doesn't look good. And then I'll do under the eyes. Get those cheekbones going. It's really hard because you have some unflattering shadows. See how there's a bright highlight here? I would have put like a gobo, a diffuser or something so that you weren't getting that. It can kind of hit somebody in all the wrong places and be really unflattering to their face shape. So I'm making my brush larger. The cool thing about Photoshop, I think, is that there are so many different ways to do this. Even as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, oh, I could have done it this way. I could have done it that way. I get comments about that all the time when I make my videos. There are many different ways to do it, and they're not necessarily wrong if you do it in a different way. So you can learn what works for you, what fits your style, and then go from there. I'm actually going to bring all this up.
Yeah, that's the great and challenging part of Photoshop is it's infinite, right? You can do anything you want to do in any number of ways. So especially as somebody who's trying to teach it, it's difficult because the way that I do things isn't necessarily the right way or the right way for somebody else.
Yeah.
But you try to teach the fundamentals and get people to explore it and get them to, use the techniques that will largely define their style. So you added a second layer, and it looks like you're using this layer to actually add shadows. So you had like separate highlights and shadow layers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you're feeling the time crunch.
Yeah, I'm feeling the time crunch.
You're trying to rush, and taking out a portrait is a big thing. It's possible to edit a portrait in 2 minutes, but
I'm not doing that.
Maybe not during a live show.
Yeah.
The dappled light as a photographer is tough. I'd probably move somebody out of the kind of dappled light, like I can see on her shirt. She's got the light from the different leaves, and
sometimes it can be interesting if that is your choice. If you're doing it deliberately, if you have cool ferns casting shadows, or if the dappled light is the subject, but it can also make your editing very difficult. Okay, what other pictures do we have? That's just a little bit of dodging and burning. I can do so much more with the picture, but we'll move on.
You want to see if Siobhan has anything else for us?
I definitely do.
What else do you have, Siobhan?
Let's see.
Wow, look at that shot.
Well, I'm going to plug myself a little bit.
Okay.
Jim Setzer asked, he says, I love the new blog. In this stage of your photography journey, is there a genre that speaks to you, or do you consider yourself a generalist?
So to back up, we have Siobhan's blogging at northrup.photo, so everybody should check that out.
She's learning photography, and we're inviting you along on our journey, so she's going to be learning and kind of teaching you what she's learning. If you're new, or even if you've been doing it a while and you need a refresher, she's a really interesting blog.
Yeah, so I just started this week, and I did abstract, which was our live show topic last week. I actually really love abstract photography. I did photography in high school and college, and that is kind of always what I did. And I did a whole lot of self-portraits because I'm vain and because you're just your easiest subject to work with. So I also think the possibilities are kind of limitless with that stuff. So I really like portraiture and abstract. I go for more artistic photography than I don't see myself really doing landscapes or nature or anything like that. Not that it's not art. Don't want to shut you people down.
Yeah. No, it's just not your style.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like trying to see the world in a different way. And sorry, my family keeps walking behind me. So I don't know. We'll see what my subject is once I am doing more of it.
Yeah, it'll probably evolve. I know my interest changes. So you'll probably try all different things.
Do you want to see my Photoshop that I was doing?
Yeah, I do.
This is the before, and I felt like the composition was unbalanced. So
You cropped it?
No, I didn't crop it.
You moved it?
I made the Washington Monument bigger.
Oh, I didn't notice
That's
that
un-American. Can't believe you'd come on my show and you'd do that to America's phallus.
I think that's the most American.
Yeah, that is the most American thing. Clearly, we need to remodel it.
Now
So
what?
it reaches. It
Now
needs to be
what?
as big as lightning.
It's family-sized now?
All I did was I selected it with the quick mask here, quick selection tool, and then I did select and mask to refine it a little bit. Put it on a separate layer with it masked off, and then I did a transform to make it
You
bigger.
did all this while we were chatting? That's
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
it doesn't take long at all, and you can see compositionally you can use that sort of technique to balance things. It also completely changes the world. But sorry, you were going to do something?
It's okay.
Okay.
Siobhan, do you have any other questions?
I do.
Good.
Nice shot.
Oh,
Oh, this is a great shot. Oh, Finn, really nice.
so cute. Look at
Oh,
those big
that's
old
cute.
feet. Your feet are too big, bird.
Do you guys know any secrets about the rumored 5D Mark IV?
No. Next
No.
question.
They said if you're not bound by an NDA agreement.
We don't know that stuff.
No.
But according to canon rumors, things are happening.
This just in. Things are happening.
Real quickly on Finn's picture here. Finn, it looks like you reduced the noise in the background, which is good, but the edges here are a little spotty. So just go back and clean those up. Blend them in. Big brush, big soft brush on those edges will make it look nice and natural. Go ahead, Siobhan.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I want to upgrade to professional wildlife gear. Should I upgrade my body or lens first? Supposing I can only afford one for a couple of months.
I don't know what you have right now.
Yeah.
Depends. Depends what you've got. What else?
I'm planning to shoot some portraits under heavy rain. Any advice?
Go inside, I guess.
You're going to want to, I guess my advice would be to make sure there's some movement to the rain. That's always interesting. And to add some light that makes it a part of the story. Waterproof makeup for your model. So if you have a makeup artist, make sure that they know the conditions that the makeup is going to go under. And also understand that the moisture is going to influence your styling. So you're not going to want to get the model's hair all curled. It's just going to go crazy. Technically speaking, you're going to want to make sure your camera's nice and dry. That might be obvious to you, but I've lost a few cameras that way.
Yeah, we actually did a portrait shoot in the rain, and we found the rain really hard to make it convey. And you're right, that's going to be conveyed with shutter speed. If you have a long shutter speed,
Is it real rain though?
1/60th,
or
it's
fake
going
rain?
to disappear completely.
Because a lot of the people that do the rain machine or like a hose or something, it's much easier to capture it.
Right,
because
because there might be sun.
The
or something,
droplets are
right?
bigger as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
That's
But yeah, usually when it's raining, you have completely overcast light. And that, with the lack of hard light plus the movement of the rain, makes it tend to disappear. So you might need shorter shutter speeds. But like you said, like add a flash or something on the rain
yeah.
in the background, and it will highlight it more. You might also use storytelling to convey the rain better, like put an umbrella in or show like a puddle
Oh
in
my
the
gosh.
foreground.
You know what? We never mentioned Matt Granger is going to be on our show next week.
Oh my God. Yeah, we
and
didn't
he's
do that.
doing a portrait show, and I just remembered because
sorry, Matt.
he actually had portraits in the rain. He might actually have a video on it. When I was going through his pictures, I think I saw something like that.
Well,
so
next week tune in and we'll review portraits.
next week we're going to be reviewing your portraits with Matt Granger, and we're going to be talking about our meetup at Photokina in Germany this year. So if you can make it to Germany, you can meet up with us and Matt Granger. We're going to be doing a photo walk and then meeting up at a pub or something and just kind of chatting, getting to know each other.
Letting people buy us drinks.
What? That's don't
Just
be
trying to
greedy,
get
Tony.
free
It's
drinks
us.
out of it. Terribly cute picture.
She's telling him the plot to Home Alone. I know it.
Oh man.
He's like, oh man, I gotta listen to this again.
If I were to pull this into Photoshop, I think I'd love to kind of remove some of these distractions. But I'd want to clone it with something. I'm not sure what I could even remove it with. It would be a bit of a challenge. If not, I don't see a good way to do that.
I like it in black and white, just removing some of the distractions.
Yeah, and you could also actually just like blur this a little bit more because it's so high contrast that it really distracts the eye.
Oh, 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 oh. Oh, it's
Beautiful and night photos. This one actually turned out really good. Nice and clean. Tons of detail. The colors are perfect. I mean, maybe a little bit more noise reduction and a little brightening, but otherwise I think there's not much we could do with it.
This is an interesting location.
It seems a little cool, right?
Yeah, the clouds look strange.
Yeah, because they're blue, and I don't think the whole picture is.
It's almost like a purple. Like you adjust the tint a little, maybe.
It's difficult to use the graduated filter like this when you have something like the mask going up like that. I think that you need to.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah, there's something strange about the
What
colors that we're
is-
trying to correct in the image. Wait, scroll. Why is it not scrolling? Oh. And then I think I just want to add a touch of dehaze, and I always lose the dehaze
It's
tool.
all
I
the
wish
way
they
at
would
the
move
bottom.
it up. Yeah.
Chelsea,
Yes.
some folks on Twitter, like GTV Jones, is asking, many of the edits you're demonstrating seem very detailed. Would you recommend getting a Wacom tablet for Photoshop?
It's funny. Tony doesn't like the tablet. I could not live without it. I recommend it, especially if you have a more artistic hand and you're going to be doing more fine details. Go for it. I think you have more control.
And then Troy was asking, which tablet are you using? It's huge and I love it.
It's the Wacom Intuos 4 medium.
Yeah, remember we got you the large at first, and it was like the size of a desk?
Tony got me the large, and my arms weren't even big enough. I was like, "Whoa, this is nice."
You can go to stp.io/Wacom, and I think it takes you to that.
Yep.
that
Oh,
same
maybe I
model.
have the 5. I forgot.
No, I think yours is the older, but that's just their newer version of it. But yeah, the large size, too big for most people, but medium is a good compromise. Yeah, if you're comfortable with the mouse, just do that. I don't find any advantage by using a tablet.
What? It's so much better.
But if you're good at drawing, you'll probably enjoy the tablet. I'm just not a
If you're
drawer.
like trying to trace the outline to select something, or if you're just shading something like you would drawing, like you can't even do that with a mouse.
Oh, I can do it. I can do anything with a mouse. I'm a mouse master. Don't you question what I can do with a mouse.
I am right here.
Oh, man. Okay. It's after 6.
It's after 6.
We should head out. Is there any closing words, Siobhan?
Sean, please.
Let's see.
Let's give it a gander.
Here's one from Kyle Wolf.
Kyle Wolf,
Is there any way to average multiple images to further the shake reduction? Seems like that would give Photoshop a better point of reference.
Oh. Yes, like if you had 3 shaky pictures that you took in a row, Photoshop should be able to figure it out, but I don't know of a way to do that in Photoshop. So I think you'd probably just end up taking the best one.
And then using them.
So not that I know of, sorry.
Kyle, great question.
But good
Got us
thought.
thinking. Got us
Send it
thinking.
into Adobe. Make the nerds they have there work that out.
Kyle
more,
has really
Siobhan.
good ideas because he gave us a suggestion when we were talking about business cards or website names earlier. He said the best way to see how many people actually visit your page from your business card is that you give them a special link specific to your business card and then check the stats to that page.
That's a great idea.
Kyle Wolf is a wizard. That was Kyle Wolf? Yeah, he's a wizard. I'm going to make us business cards for Photokina that I inevitably will not give out or will crumple them in my pocket. But they're going to have a special link. It's going to be kylewolf.com.
To follow up on Kyle's suggestion, you can use a URL shortener like bit.ly, bit.ly, and make your shortcut, and then it will usually track the stats for you. So you can make your own custom shortcut and do that. There are a bunch of different shortcut makers out there, so you don't have to use bit.ly. There's a bunch that will let you track it. Just a suggestion, so you don't have to get a special domain name or anything. Okay.
Wow, we had a good night tonight, folks. That's for sure. So make sure that you join us next week with Matt Granger. We'll be reviewing your portraits. And thank you, Squarespace, for making this show possible. I like my Squarespace.
Yeah, I've been totally happy with it. Everybody's happy with it. We get
Except-
dozens of submissions every week, and
We've had one person not like it.
oh, really? We had somebody not
It was
like
just Ericy, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Ericy liked it. He just didn't have enough control for him. But, well, he wanted plugins and
He's
stuff.
high octane. You don't know. You don't know.
Trust me, it gives you plenty of control. You have full access to the CSS and the HTML.
24/7 customer
need to.
support, easy to make a beautiful page, drag and drop. You can just put your pictures right in. So try
Gorgeous analytics.
Squarespace at
Mobile friendly.
squarespace.com/Tony. Don't know why it's not Chelsea. And use the coupon code portfolio.
Thank you, Squarespace, and thanks, everybody. Next week, Matt Granger Portraits. Thanks, Siobhan out of Philly. Thank you, Justin, for making everything happen. Sorry about the sound. I don't know if there was a problem, but
There's probably a problem.
Oh,
Probably
it
a
sounds
problem.
fantastic. Don't
Oh,
worry
okay,
about it.
good.
Justin, you say that every week.
We'll see. Bye, guys.
Bye.
That is all.
I love your lipstick.